All right. So there we go. All right. So I just introduced this program that we're offering is we're Anna Mazzaros from Palm Beach County Extension and Dr. Amanda Hodges from UF's Florida First Detector Program and her team. And we work together on developing this webinar series with the thought that we can kind of be there as assistants throughout the growing season monthly to check in with growers, whether you're a commercial grower like Carl or a backyard hobby grower, and provide resources, because that is one of the common needs that we see, especially from small scale and beginning growers, is needs for help with pest and disease management. So see if we can be resources for that, and also connect growers with one another so they can be resources with each other, for each other. So especially more experienced growers like Carl we have here today. So we're grateful you're here. So we're gonna, each session, each month we'll have a presentation of Pest of the Month, and then a more in-depth program by the Florida First Detector Program, and then some time for discussion. For this first one, we're going to do more of an introductory. Anna and I are going to be sharing some resources, and we'll go into making sure there's a good sense of how to submit a good sample or get a good and accurate diagnosis for the issue you're dealing with. And then we'll have that knowledge going into the rest of the sessions in the series. So I will turn it over to Anna Mazzaros in Palm Beach County Extension, and she's going to present on a webinar and email toolkit and a website and email toolkit that her and a team have developed. Go ahead. And Anna, we see, there we go, we see it now. Good.
Okay. Yeah, it took a little bit of time, I'm sorry. So everybody, welcome, and thank you for coming.
Okay, did she drop out? Okay. Oh, you're there, Anna. For some reason, it dropped your presentation, and you're muted. I don't know if you know that.
There is always something, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's try this again. Okay. Again, I will try to share my presentation. Can you see it now? All right. I think it's working. So again, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anna Mazzaros. I'm the commercial vegetable extension agent in Palm Beach County. And today I would like to talk about briefly our extension program, but specifically our newsletter and website that might be useful for everybody. I'll try to advance these slides again. So this is our commercial vegetable extension team. Craig Frey, Henry County Extension Director, who is also a multi-county extension agent as well. Megan Foss, who is our assistant, and myself. We closely work together with specialists from multiple South Florida Research and Education Center, but specifically these 4 Research and Education Center and SWIFREC in Immokalee, EREC in Baglade, and GCREC in Balm, and also the Tropical Research and Education Center out in Homestead. So Yvette will probably talk about these a little bit in more details. So we communicate all the research that has been done at these research stations throughout our traditional educational programs based on the commodity. So we have tomato conference, lettuce meeting, sweet corn meeting, snap bean conference. We also worked together a few times with Dr. Amanda Hodges and her team talking about first detector trainings and other invasive and emerging pests and diseases. But besides these programs, we also have 3 main newsletters. The South Florida Pest and Disease Hotline, the Research Connections, and also grower events. So we send these out every 3 weeks, at least we try to do it. And, this is the busiest time of the year for everybody, but we are doing our best. And then these newsletters are also archived or housed on our vegetable extension website. But probably the most informative among all of these is the South Florida Pest and Disease Hotline. And this newsletter was originally initiated by Gene McAvoy, actually, and we just carried on his original idea and then made it a little bit more user-friendly and a little bit more modern and put it in an online format. So what this is exactly. We are monitoring population dynamics of over 30 pests and diseases during the South Florida vegetable production season. And we asking our contributors to report what they have seen in the field in the past 2 or 3 weeks, because basically they are the one who are in the field. I cannot scout the whole entire South Florida by myself. So just by saying that, our contributors, we are really grateful to those. Our growers, professional crop scout, crop consultants, research and education faculty members from those 4 or 5 research and education centers I just talked about. And so we send these out every 3 weeks via email. And you can see here that we report for 4 to 5 big different regions. And for example, here you can see an old report for whiteflies. And these dots, and I don't know if how I can move this. So these dots basically tell you about a particular pest population is increasing or decreasing. You can have different colors. Yellow represents the low population, orange the medium population, the red is the high populations, and you can have plus, minus, or equal depending on what the people are seeing. And we found this information very useful to growers because they can be prepared to certain pests that can be important in their areas. So what you see here, actually, this was a hotline we sent out in December 28th, covering information over a 3-week period. And I don't know if I will be able to show this quickly. This is what, let me see. This is how it looks like, actually. So we have a scouting, we call a scouting report, and we have a special alert. You can see here for Thrips parvispinus, which is a pretty big deal these days in the South, especially in the pepper productions. And also we have an abiotic section when we talk about these days, we have so much rain that we don't know even what to do with it. So we have a report about abiotic issues too, and also you have all the insects, pests, and bacterial diseases, fungal diseases, and viruses as well. And then when you click on something, for example, here on the whiteflies, it will bring you to the actual report that gives you a brief information and report about the current situation. And also at the end, you have a section for management, which will give you, you can click on it, and it will bring you to our website or other useful UFIPAS information. So after a few days, we archive these newsletters to our website, and I try to go back to my presentation quickly here. We don't have time to go over the website and see it all in details, but we will have time later for sure. But you can scan the QR code. This will bring you to the website as well. So after that, the other newsletter we have, this is the Research Connections. And this is a brief summary from those researchers we are really closely working with at those research stations I talked about. Here you can see Dr. Gary Ballard just talking about briefly, let me see, soil-borne pathogens impacting vegetable production in Florida. And after that, lastly, I wanted to show you these two, which is, again, it goes out first as a newsletter, but after that, basically it brings you to this website where we present upcoming grower meetings. And so everything is kind of centralized on a single page, and we will update this regularly. The good thing is about it that if you missed a meeting, we try to record everything, and you will have an opportunity to watch it again. And if you need CEUs, you can take a pre and the post test, and after that we can send you the CEU certification. So pretty briefly, this is what I wanted to share today. Unfortunately, I need to leave a little bit early, but you will have my information, my email information, in case you want to sign up to the newsletter. And if you need more information, just don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We'll transition over to my presentation, but does anyone have any questions for Anna as we do that?
Right, Anna. Yeah. So the best, if we wanted to get the latest, greatest information on the disease hotline, is the best place to go the email campaign archive on that site?
So the archive will tell you what happened probably 3 weeks ago. You can also sign up to the mail list.
Yeah,
and then
I'm in that.
You will receive, you are in there, and then if I can show you if you want to go. Can I show it for just 1 second again? Event. Sorry about it.
Because I guess the URL, it's like a MailChimp mail out.
Yeah, but if you
it's not like I was wondering if there's like a browser
yes.
browser address that would basically let's say circumvent the MailChimp necessity. If I miss an email, I guess specifically is what I'm trying to say.
Everything is archived actually on the website, and I came back. I'm still here.
You're here, we see you.
I'm just, or if you put your email, let me see. It just doesn't wanna.
And we can do a follow-up where we send the website out to the people that were signed up today.
Yeah, but that would be probably the easiest, because but I'll show you that. So you can go on the website, and there is a little link up there. It says reports, and then when you go to reports, you go to past issues or past reports and archived reports, and then you have everything up to 2000 or back to 2020.
Got it.
And then you can see everything is archived. So I can send you even the link to the archive, but it's on the website, reports, and then past issues or past reports, something like that. And I'm sorry about the technical glitches.
That's okay. Yeah, just for grins, I tried to Google it, and I got a lot of PDFs, but I couldn't find the actual site. Yeah, at least on the first page. So, yeah.
Yeah, I will send you a link, or if you attend this series next time, I can share my screen probably with a better internet connection, and then I can show you where they can be found.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Anna. And so I'll present now on mine. Can you see my presentation? It's the Injustice for All poster. Do you see that? Okay. All right. So let me go through this in my name. Let me get over to the next slide. Oh boy, why won't it let me forward? Oh dear. I just do it this way for some reason. So my name is Yvette Gooddeal, and I'm the extension agent, well, the Sustainability and Commercial Horticulture Extension Agent in Martin County. So I work with farmers, ranchers, nursery growers, landscapers, and I'm going to share with you some things some tips that I find myself sharing often when growers come to me seeking help with pest diagnoses. So, okay, so my first tip is early is best. You know, you may have a crop where you're starting out and, you know, you're just seeing, you know, maybe this little white fly here, or maybe the nymphs. And you might think, well, I don't see any damage. I see that. I've got a busy day. I'm moving on. But then you might not see any other damage until you get damage to the fruit. And so in the meantime, and then you get to this point and you say, whoa, something's wrong with my fruit. I need a diagnosis, help. And it may take some time to get that diagnosis. And in the meantime, those pest populations may be growing. So I always recommend to people, you know, go ahead and just get an ID early on, even if you don't see that this pest is, that this insect or symptom is very common. Just go ahead and start the process of finding out what it is. So, and be rest assured that it does get better, that, you know, we start early and we're building our knowledge base of what are the common pests that affect our crops, what do they look like, what are their different life stages, so that less and less we have to go to, you know, the labs and all for help, but know that those resources are there for you whenever you need them at any stage along your trajectory of expertise, because we all need help, you know, all along the way. It's always something we don't know. So these are the resources that I'm going to share. I'll go through each of them. These are the UF resources. We have resources to help you. That's my message. So the first resource I want to share is the your local extension office. And you can see from this map, every county has an extension office, and we can help with a lot more than just pest ID. We are your front door to the University of Florida. So just if you don't already have a connection with your local extension agent, you know, visit their office, make an appointment, sit down with them, you know, find out who is the extension agent that works with commercial growers in your county. Or if you're a hobby non-commercial grower, go find out, you know, do you have a master gardener help desk? Who's your master gardener coordinator, or your residential grower contact? And having them be aware of what you need and you be aware of what they have to offer, that relationship, you can share resources back and forth over much more than just pest management. And you might also be near, in addition to being close to a county extension office, you might also live close by to one of our research centers, like the ones that Anna mentioned in her presentation. Here on the Treasure Coast, we have the Indian River Research and Education Center in Fort Pierce. And then further south, Homestead, the Tropical Research and Education Center, or REC, and the Everglades REC in Belle Glade. And you can see here some of the specialties that those, or topics that those specialists at those RECs are studying. And so those are resources for you as well. Go visit your nearby REC if you have one close to you. You know, meet some of the specialists. They're open doors to you as well. And a lot of times we as extension agents work with the specialists in the RECs to get growers and questions answered. So there is a partnership there as well. And be aware that some of the RECs, the tropical, the Southwest, North Florida, and Gulf Coast, are part of our plant diagnostic lab network. So that means they'll accept plant samples for you to bring in and have cultured out for disease diagnosis. Okay, so we have more options than just our resources in Gainesville. Oh, sorry, you just there's that part. Okay. And so these are the Gainesville labs, though, most of these. So the Plant Diagnostics Center, that's our Gainesville pathology lab. We have an excellent entomology lab in Gainesville. They help me all of the time. Nematode assay lab, rapid turf diagnostic service, because we all have yards too. And then forest pathology. And then, of course, those RECs throughout the state that are also part of this diagnostic network. So when you are working with a lab, this is an example of a form that they'll have you fill out about, you know, the situation you're dealing with, so they have an idea. And this is the advice I offer to people before when I'm connecting them to the lab. I always say, call the lab first before you take a sample to send to them. I've had that in my experience. I thought I knew the right part of the plant to sample for a particular disease. But then when we called the lab, they said, well, actually, no, you would sample this. So talk to them. They like it. They actually request that, at least when I've spoken to them, they've said, you know, have the growers call us first before they send in samples. And don't treat the sample with a pesticide just before you send it in. You know, people are going to be handling this sample, so we want to make sure it's safe for them to handle. And ship it overnight early in the week. A lot of times I'll get a call, you know, on a Thursday or a Friday, help, I'm struggling with this, and it's at a critical point. But if you send a sample, you know, and it sits in the mail truck or for long delivery or overnight in the mailbox, it's not going to be as good of quality as if you get it there early in the week for them to start working with right away. So those are my suggestions there. You also have another resource, is the distance diagnostic service. So myself and a lot of other agents are members of we're registered in the DDIS, as we call it. So that means if someone sends me a picture of a pest and I don't know, a pest or a disease symptom, and I don't know what it could be, I can easily upload those pictures and descriptive information onto the DDIS, tag the specialists that I think can help, and submit it to them for input. This is a great option if you have time, because it sometimes is quick, sometimes may take more time. If you have pictures, but also be aware that sometimes a picture isn't enough. Sometimes they'll get back to me and say, yes, this is what you have, move forward, here's the information you need. Other times they'll say, no, we really need a physical sample to be brought into the lab. So I always tell people, if you're at a critical point with a pest and you need a definitive answer right away, especially with a disease, it's best to send a sample to the lab. Call the lab and send the sample to them. There is a cost to that, to sending a sample to the lab, but it's worth it, especially if you're a commercial grower. DDIS is free. You, as a stakeholder, you can also become a DDIS user yourself, and you can submit photos directly to the specialist as well. So it's nice to go through your extension agent, but because then again, we continue that relationship. We have an idea of what's going on in our county, but it's not a requirement. If you feel like that's an unnecessary bottleneck, go ahead and go forward directly as a user. And then we have, if you're a DIYer, you know, you think, I think I can figure this out on my own, I want to try it. We have Ask IFAS. Whoops, I went, oh, look at that. So Ask IFAS, these are where our science-backed publications are posted online for the public to interact with them. So I did a search here and I'm showing you a screenshot of, Ask IFAS tomato. And you can see that I have a lot of topics listed, from cultural practices, home tomato gardening, disease management. And then if you click on one of them, you open up to a list of publications, one or more publications. So here's one on the threshold for timing applications of insecticides to manage the silverleaf whitefly and that irregular ripening that we saw earlier in the presentation. So that's an excellent, free, easy to access resource right there. So almost to the end, what kind of information do we provide if you reach out to us? Well, we're going to provide you with identification of the specific pest or disease that you're dealing with. Again, if we're not able to confirm based on the sample or photo you provided, we'll do our best to give you a tentative and ask for more information. So that identification, and then more about the pest. So more about what it's going to maybe do to your crops, and more about how to prevent it next time and manage it this time. So, what kinds of damage is it going to cause? We'll share what's known about that. We'll share what other crops it might affect. So, oh, I saw this on my tomato, but look, it also affects these other crops. I need to be aware and watch for it there as well. What's its life cycle? And how can I best manage it? And when we talk about management, we're going to talk about it from an integrated pest management perspective. So we're not going right to the chemical option. We're also going to share, cultural, physical, biological options that are out there so that you have a broad variety of tools in your toolbox to use in managing this issue that you're struggling with. So that was all I had to present today. I encourage you, if you'd like to, engage with me, receive my email announcements of classes and blogs and things. There's the QR code to subscribe to my email list. And I work with growers, on a lot of things, including, this is a picture of a soil moisture sensor, and we have some other research projects that I help with doing on-farm demonstrations. So if you're in Martin County, please feel free to reach out to me. And I thank you for your time. And I'll put in the email that we send out, I'll put the links to those different resources like the research centers and all. Are there any questions? Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on. I think we're pretty much right on time for Daniela's presentation. And Daniela is with the Florida First Detector team, which is led by Dr. Amanda Hodges here. So thank you both for being here.
All right. Hi, everyone. Just gonna try to present here. Let's see.
I think if you click on the slideshow from beginning, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, the Zoom was covering it. All right. Can everybody see my presentation?
It actually, we can see the notes side, so you might want to go back to the presentations.
Okay. Let's see.
We see it with the two slides side by side.
Yeah.
I can see the slideshow.
Oh, which one did you say?
Sample submission and DD. See, this is on top of it, and DDIS.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my name is Daniela Perez-Lagones. I'm going to be going over a little bit more in depth how to submit your samples and how to submit your digital samples to the DDIS website. So as you've seen, there's many different types of samples that you can send in, whether it's relating to plant disease, whether you want to manage nutrient disorders or non-biotic problems. It's also useful for identifying plants, weeds, insects, arthropods, and especially invasive species. We ask that when participants do submit their samples, especially for invasive species, that they do so in a systemic way. So that means to search every plant in the same way. So whether you're looking at the base of the plant and going up, or whether you're looking at the leaves followed by the stem, just make sure to document your methods, including whether you're searching by every plant, every fifth plant, 10 plants in a row, whatever it might be, and to quantify that effort. So the number of plants searched, etc. And there are different ways to submit your samples depending on the type of insect that you have. So for hard-bodied insects, including grasshoppers, beetles, earwigs, stink bugs, those that are easily removed from the plant for submission, these are great because there's many different identification keys for both the mature and the immature stages. So it's not necessary to submit a live sample. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to capture multiple specimens if possible, and put them in a vial with a preservative, ideally 70% alcohol. You're then going to put that specimen in the vial inside a Ziplocked sealable bag. And then you're going to put this bag inside of yet another bag, and that bag's going to have your sample submission form. And that just prevents any spillage, ruining the information that you submit. And as far as I know, this is going to be, this presentation is going to be provided to you. So we have included some YouTube links with some videos on how to submit each sample. So for soft-bodied insects, or sorry, for small insects, those that are difficult to remove, and these include mites, thrips, whiteflies, scales, we ask for you to submit 6 to 8 inches of the plant material, of the host plant material, because this can be really helpful for identifying the type of pest. And so you're going to want to try to capture multiple life stages on the plant material, wrap it in a paper towel or newspaper, and double bag them. We're going to be asking for live samples as well as preserved samples. And the reason is because live samples, depending on the insect, there are certain identification keys that are only available for certain life stages. So whether that's the larva stage, the adult stage, or the pupa. And so we might need to allow the organism to complete the next life cycle in order to ID it properly. So in addition to that live sample, we're going to ask that you also capture multiple stages, if possible, on a smaller piece of plant, and submit that in the vial with preservative in the same way as you did before. So putting it in a sealable bag and then putting that inside of another bag. For soft-bodied insects, and these include caterpillars and grubs, in order to ID these properly, we ask that you fix them with boiling water first. And this is because soft-bodied insects are usually quite chunky, and the fixing process prevents the insides from desiccating, even though the outside will look like it's preserved from alcohol. And the internal structures are important for identification purposes. So what you're going to try to do is capture multiple specimens if possible. And it's important to make sure that the water is boiling first. Before you add the specimens, you'll put them in for about 1 minute, turn off the heat and allow it to cool. And then you'll remove the specimens and put them in the preservative-filled vials as you did before. For butterflies and moths, we ask that you submit both a dry and a wet sample for identification. For butterflies and moths, the identification is often completed by looking at their reproductive structures. So this is why when you put it in alcohol or preservative file, they'll be useful for that purpose. However, with your dry sample, some species are identified based on the scales on the wings, so it's important to preserve those, and those can fall off if you put them in alcohol. So we'll need both types of samples. And in order to submit a dry sample, you'll just collect the specimen in a container, put it in your freezer, and this is the most humane way for killing them. And it prevents them from flying around and dropping their scales. The next day, you'll take it out, and we ask that you put a tissue in the vial or the container in order to prevent damage to it during transit. When submitting for suspected plant disease, you're going to want to, if possible, to submit the whole plant and wrap the roots in a separate bag, tape it or seal it off, and then wrap the rest of the plant in paper towels and newspaper to absorb the extra moisture, and place the entire plant in another plastic bag. If you're not able to collect the whole plant, you can submit at least 6 to 8 inches of the plant, and again, wrap that in paper towels or newspaper. If you're not able to collect the whole plant, it's important that you collect both a healthy part of the plant as well as the diseased part of the plant for comparison. And you're going to wrap these separately in paper towels, put them in separate bags, and then put both of those bags into another bag. Now, if you are not able to find any pests or disease, that is okay. Especially when it comes to invasive species, it's important to know your monitoring efforts. So we do want to know that you did look, that you quantify your effort, and tell us what types of methods that you used. And should there be a positive detection, this can be really helpful for state and federal agencies for determining best management and eradication strategies. So your submission form is going to look like this. It has several different sections: general information, the pest surveyed, plant surveyed, and there's room for additional information. And the pest submission form that you see here is a modification of the UF IFAS ETA sample submission form. Using this form means that there will be no charge for the sample, as it's coming from the Florida First Detector website. And it makes it easier to track whether samples were submitted as a direct result of workshops like this. And so just kind of going into the form a little bit, this is where you'll put the general information, date and place of collection, address, email, contact information, the name of the collector. Then you'll have the pest, insect or disease that you surveyed. Note the plant name, the number of plants surveyed, and the percentage of those plants that were infested with the suspected pest or disease. And then you're going to note where the pest was located on the plant, if possible, and what damage it was that you suspected was caused by that pest. And then here we just have some resources for where to submit the samples, and all of this will be made available to you. There is an exemption. We do ask that you do not submit live giant African land snail samples. Instead, we ask that you report any suspected samples to DPI at this hotline. And then really quickly going into how to submit a your photos to the DDIS resource. First, what you're going to have to do is reach out to your local county extension. An extension agent will have to approve your use prior to you being able to sign into the system. Once they do approve your use, you're going to navigate to this website, scroll to the bottom where it says to become a user. And then in the user group, you're going to select extension clientele, and input NA for IFAS unit name. And your extension agent will help provide all of this information to you. Once you have a login information, you're going to click on the My DDIS at the top of the page. And then go to where it says submit a sample for diagnosis. Once you have submitted a sample and reports have been generated by a specialist after they've been ID'd, then you'll be able to go to My Samples and have those reports available to you. So in order to use DDIS, you want to select the sample type for submission and select multiple categories if you're not sure what the problem is with the plant. Then you're going to go ahead and fill in the information similar to the other form that you saw. You're going to fill in the name, address, where you found the pest or the plant, and other information. And then for your last step, you're just going to add as clear of images as you can, and you can add up to 7 images. And of course, the more images you include, the better for IDing purposes. And it's pretty simple. That's pretty much it on how to use the website. They include a lot of resources for how to submit your samples, as well as some frequently asked questions. And then we have some resources available to you as well.
Thank you, Daniela. Does anyone have any questions for her?
I sent in my application.
Oh, very good,
Okay,
Carl.
awesome.
Awesome. All right.
Didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool resource.
Yeah. So yes, and I'm glad we're getting word out about it. So okay, so now I'm going to stop the recording so we can have a discussion, but also I would like to take a moment to